Hello folks and welcome back to Medieval Total War. I am Conostep and this is going to be part 26 of my early campaign where I'm playing as the Danes. And I have been enjoying a few episodes of relative peace and quiet. Of course, there has been the annoying naval engagements struck upon me by the Egyptians. However, since recently they have become more enmeshed in the politics of, well, Europe itself, and yeah, they've been kind of ignoring me now that I have gotten that ceasefire again from them. It seems like they're stuck right in, right? They're attacking the Hungarians. They're doing a good job against the Hungarians. They've driven the Hungarians into a civil war, which has made them lose Carpathia, or no, sorry, Croatia, and Moldavia as well. I wonder if the Mongols will take upon this as an opportunity to strike. It would be kind of nice to see them do something other than just sit there or attack me, right? But this is good because the Egyptians have something else to do other than bother me. And this is allowing me the time and space to build up and get strong again. So my economy is looking pretty good. I'm sitting on almost 150,000 in the treasury, and I am making 18,000 per turn, which feels very good. That does. And my navies are catching up. I can now build my cogs here in Finland. Yeah, here's the cog. This is my third tier boat. I don't think I've built any yet because Finland is also the only province that I have that allows me to build these demi-culverins, and this is the only siege equipment that I have right now that I think allows me to get into citadels, I think. And that felt kind of bad, you know, because I was for a moment there planning an invasion potentially of Egypt, and I thought, oh wait, I don't really have the artillery that would allow me to get into those fortifications. So Finland being the only province that allows me to build my third tier boat and my best artillery, that doesn't feel good. Luckily, I do have a couple provinces here in the British Isles, which are done teching up in regards to their economy because they don't have any trade goods. Here in Scotland and Wales, there is no trade. So they do have, you know, some farm income. And in the case of Wales, they do have copper. But the mines have been built, the farms have been built, and now these two provinces are ready to contribute in some other ways. And I'm thinking, you know, I wanted to think about this for a second, and I've decided that I should probably just go the same route with these two provinces as I did with Finland. Let's go boats and artillery. I think that combining boats and artillery in the same provinces just makes sense because once you get on into the late tier boats, you kind of just need the artillery buildings to go along with it, I believe, just because those boats have those artillery pieces on them. I think that's the logic there. So I think for this last boat, I think I was required to have, not going to tell me, is it? Yeah, so the Shipbuilders Guild with the Cannon Foundry allows me to build cogs, and I think that continues with the higher tier boats. Maybe, will it tell me those? So for the Master Shipbuilder, if I get a Master Foundry, which is, I believe, the highest tier of artillery building, then I can get the Carracks, which is the fourth tier boat available to the Catholic factions. Okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? And I think that having multiple provinces that can build either boats and or artillery makes sense just because the boats and artillery pieces all take multiple turns to build. So it can feel a little bit bad just having them come out of one province. It's like one or the other and it takes forever. So let's go with that. Let's do Wales and Shipwright so that they can build barks. Can they not build longboats anymore? Or is it just because of it? Is the longboat a regional thing? Oh no! Oh, longboats are time. They're limited by the time period. Okay, so they cannot be built in the late period. All right, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it makes sense, right? I guess they are a bit outdated by this time period. So now we can just build barks as our tier 1. That's okay though. that is okay. I think we have plenty of longboats out on the map, and I probably won't even build any barks, to be honest. I'll just be building caravels and above from here on out. I think so. So let's just do that. Let's get a shipwright here in Scotland and Wales, and then we can go castle from there, and then go artillery buildings and the upgraded tier 2 boat buildings. Yeah, that feels good. Now, I've been neglecting my army throughout this entire time, and I would like to get guns at some point here in Prussia and Pomerania, just because these are the 2 provinces that I did tech up so that they can train my light infantry, well, my skirmisher infantry, like my archers. So I was thinking about just continuing that path with Prussia and Pomerania and having these provinces also be my gun provinces. And so that's fine. They are working on farm upgrades still. But once that is finished, I can transition these provinces over into getting... Can I not train Pavis Arbalesters? No, I cannot. Oh, okay, wow. Yeah, I've really neglected my military. So yeah, I will get the last archer building, or not the last one, but yeah, it is the last one. Yeah, the Master Boyar, which allows me to train the Pavis Arbalesters, and then it also gives a Valor bonus to... Ooh, I would like to know what exactly that gives a Valor bonus to. Does that also give a Valor bonus to Pavis Arbalesters, or is it just everything that came before Pavis Arbalesters? Okay, I want to look this up real quick. Okay, I'm back, and I have some pretty interesting information. Yeah, the +1 Valor, according to my sources, it does not apply to the Pavis Arbalesters. So this applies to like pretty much every other archer unit that is, that can be trained prior to this building being built, but not the Pavis Arbalesters themselves. Now, that's interesting. So the Valor is going to give morale, attack, and defense bonuses. I believe Valor also does give like an accuracy bonus to ranged units as well. So that's interesting, and it's making me think about some stuff here. So like, typically we will always consider the crossbow units to be inferior to the Arbalester units. And as shooters, that is true. Arbalesters just are a better shooter all around. There's literally nothing that the crossbow does that's better than the Arbalester. I've heard some people say that the Arbalesters shoot slower, but according to the stats that I'm looking at, they shoot exactly the same. It's just that the Arbalester has longer range and higher accuracy, higher lethality, higher power, and they have a stronger armor modifier as well. Just better as a shooter in every single way. So the thing that I would consider when it comes to this Valor bonus is 2 things. One is, if Valor does affect accuracy and you're looking for shooters, specifically you need to shoot to win, right? Then the normal basic Arbalester is going to be a better shooter with this building than a Pavis Arbalester, right? Because they will be getting that Valor bonus. The other thing to consider is that if you're comparing the 2 Pavis units, the Pavis crossbow with the Pavis Arbalester, then the Pavis crossbow is going to be a unit that has better melee stats, right? The Pavis itself is a big shield. It gives, I believe, +3 defense or armor, which is a bit, right? It's something that I've been experimenting a little bit in my own time. It's been a while since I've done this, but I've been trying to find... I still have a lot of work to do when it comes to trying to find the army builds that I like to use in this game. And one of the things that I have had some success with in Shogun is not being as afraid to use these samurai archers as kind of a frontline unit in a way. Not something that is meant for the front line, but it's something that can really bait the enemy into attacking certain positions of my battle line And my samurai archers, being that they are samurai, can typically hold long enough for a flanking attack to come in. And I think that plays off very well, because when you think of like, you know, like what an archer was back in this time period, you know, these were people that were very capable fighters. You know, they weren't armed for it in the sense they didn't have the same armor and armaments, but like these were strong lads. And especially, you know, in Japan, these were samurai trained from birth to fight. So it wasn't like this video game sense of like, you know, an archer is just dead as soon as you touch him in combat. You know, these are people that can fight back. And in Shogun, it seems like it works pretty well, depending on my army comp. Now in this game, I've been struggling with it. The archers aren't quite as good in melee, but I don't think I've found the right combo yet. I think I'm still like trying to search and find the right ways to use archers in melee. And light infantry in general, I would like to find ways to make light infantry more aggressive and not just this unit that runs away from combat and then throws their missiles or shoots their missiles or whatever. I want my light infantry to be more dynamic and more about taking hard to attack positions on the battlefield, because that's kind of the light infantry doctrine of you know, military warfare, right? That's kind of what they were used for. You don't use them to hold an open plain necessarily. You use light infantry to take something like a wooded area or a hill or something, because try charging your cavalry or heavy cav into that wooded hill, and it doesn't matter what that light infantry is, they're gonna chop them down because it's a wooded hill, you know? And they can kind of like pester and annoy from that position. And I think that there is ways to use light infantry in that sense in these video games. I just think that I haven't quite figured it all out yet. I think I'm still working on it. But this is one of the things that kind of gives me a clue here, right? Pavis crossbows. They're going to get a bit of an advantage to their melee stats. And I'm not talking about using them as an attacker, obviously. This is a Pavis unit. They're slow. They're more about defense and holding. But it's a unit that's still going to draw enemies into it. You know, it has firepower. And they're going to want to attack that Pavis crossbow. And if it can hold out long enough so that maybe I'm playing a faction, I'm trying to find a way to use the naphtha throwers, you know, so maybe this is a case where naphtha can be used against an infantry unit or a cav unit that's attacking Pavis crossbows, or I can use javelins a bit better or something, or maybe I can flank with axes, you know, if I'm playing the Danes. Anyway, that's just some thoughts. That's interesting. I need to kind of go back to the drawing board, and I haven't played as many custom battles in Medieval Total War as I did in Shogun. I played tons in Shogun to try to figure out how I liked to play those armies. And here in this game, I have done a lot, but then lately, I say like the last year, I feel like I've just been so busy that I haven't really gotten into really digging into the depths of the battle system and finding, you know, the way that I want to play the battles here in this game. Now, part of that, I think, is the way that I play the campaign, which is pretty passive. That plays a role in me not getting enough reps into the battles themselves. But yeah, typically I usually get most of my practice in the custom battles anyway. So yeah, that's my fault for not getting in there. Anyway, that's an interesting little tangent. I did not know that. And yeah, I will have to kind of go back to the drawing board. I don't know if that's going to have any prevalence on this campaign. I do still want to build up a late game army for showcase purposes and for fun. And I don't know. Here's the issue I find when playing this game is that if I go just based off of just purely winning the game and doing the things in this campaign that are just based off the meta, then there's oftentimes no reason to fight in the late game. You know, if you're strong enough so that they won't attack you, and by they I mean anyone, and if everyone else is not powerful enough or threatening enough, in regards to their GA points, then you can go your entire late period of the campaign without really fighting much, which is really unfortunate, but I think that kind of showcases the fact that this is an early campaign where you play out the entire 3 periods. I think one of the main appeals of playing a later campaign, like the high period or the late period, will be the opposite of that, right? You're going to be playing those armies and really having to fight with them. And I think that, yeah, playing these early campaigns is going to be mostly focused about playing with early game armies, right? With that all being said, though, you know, hey, this is a YouTube, and I still have to understand that not only do I need to play this game for fun, but I also need to showcase and entertain and try to show fun ways of playing this game. So I do want to get some late medieval armies out. I do want to get some pike and shot armies out. And since the weather can be so inclement when it comes to fighting anywhere north of, you know, basically this latitude here, like this is all arid territory, which as far as I'm concerned can use guns. And then like then you just go a little bit north and it's just, I don't think you can use guns. What's Austria? Yeah, lush grassland. Same in Hungary, and same in Carpathia, same in Wallachia. And when does it change? Straight to, yeah, arid in Constantinople, arid in Greece, arid in Serbia, arid in Croatia. So, yeah, anything that borders the Mediterranean is arid. And then all of the Italian peninsula, yeah. So yeah, that's, I mean, it kind of fits. Because the only faction that I would really consider attacking is the Egyptians. Just for old time's sake, really. I don't find them to be a threat in regards to their GA points. I'm ahead of the Hungarians now. But yeah, just for old time's sake, I am considering at some point in this campaign, in this late game, getting some armies together. And maybe this is a tentative plan, but maybe taking Greece and Bulgaria. And typically what I find is that when you plan these big invasions, you can typically overload the provinces that you attack, right? Because you're the one choosing where to attack. And the enemy will often retreat. And then they'll come back and then they'll attack you, they'll counterattack you. So I find that attacking doesn't really involve a lot of offensive battles, which is kind of ironic. But it involves a lot of defensive battles to hold the provinces that you just took. And maybe that could be fun. I don't want to take provinces that border other factions because I don't want to draw them into the war. What's going to happen is once I abandon these territories, then any other neighboring factions can say, oh, hey, there's an abandoned territory. Even if it hasn't fully gone over yet to like rebels or the other faction, it will still be my territory, even though my armies are gone in that turn before it turns over to the other, you know, rebels or the other army. The Turks might move in and go to war with me on a province that I've abandoned. And this is something that happens all the times in my other campaigns. And I don't want this to happen. If I can take provinces like Bulgaria and Greece, which do not border anyone else, well, I mean, by the time I make my attack, hopefully it borders no one else. If this is just rebel, that's fine. And yeah, that would mean that the only factions that I'll be worried about attacking me are the Egyptians. And that could be pretty fun, I think, if they kind of bring in their armies from Hungary and Croatia, and then also from Anatolia, maybe even down here in the Levant, if they want to bring their forces up from the deserts to kind of sandwich me in Greece and Bulgaria. That could just be kind of fun. Honestly, I don't see any purpose to that, other than just for the fun of it. So that's my goal for the last period of this game. You know, it's the year 1322. This campaign ends in 1453. And if I can just stack money and build up to artillery and boats, and then getting a good late game army with guns and pikes and guns, pikes, what else do I like to use? I find that if I'm doing a pike and shot form of army, what I like to have also is some dismounted chivalric knights. Now, this is a unit that I have not trained at all yet in this campaign, but chivalric knights are overpowered. They are absolutely incredible. They are a tier above feudal knights, but you would think that they're way, way better. Like they are. They should be like more than a tier above. What's interesting about chivalric knights is that they are essentially like one of the best heavy cav units in the game, and like one of the only units that I can think of that's like a unique unit is the Lancers, which are available to the Aragonese and the Spanish. And that's an interesting unit. It's super high tech, and it's the best heavy cav unit in the game. Now, I don't know what unit the Lancers are historically based off of, because it's my understanding that the military doctrine in the Iberian Peninsula is mostly based on light infantry and light cavalry. But the Lancers is a very late game unit, so maybe it's I don't know really a lot about the late period of Iberian warfare. So if you know what those Lancers are based off of, I would love to hear that story, because I don't know why the Spanish and the Aragonese get the best heavy cav at the end of this campaign of all factions, right? It's too bad, because the French get the gendarmes, which are they don't look as good as the chivalric knights, I'll say that much. And the Italians and the Germans get the Gothic Knights, which look really cool, and they look like there is an actual purpose to them, just because they are heavily armored, and they do have an armor-piercing mace, I believe. I don't know if they're better than the chivalric knights, but they at least have a purpose to them, unlike the gendarmes, which look really floppy, honestly. And then, yeah, so like comparing the chivalric knights to those two units, it's kind of like, man, the chivalric knights, that's a unit that's available to every single Catholic faction. So if you're looking for like late game identities between these factions, they're kind of all using the same awesome unit, right? It's kind of too bad in that sense. Even the Danes, which in video game fashion is typically like a not really good with cavalry kind of thing, right? They're kind of, you know, axes, I guess. They have access to chivalric knights, so who cares? You know, it doesn't matter that their cavalry options are limited when they have one of the best ones. So that's a unit, and what makes them even better is that you can train these guys, right? Now you can't train dismounted knights. What you do is you just train the regular knight unit, and then in battle you dismount them. This isn't something that I do very often, and it's kind of weird that the way that CA did this with different knight units, because some knight units can only be dismounted in siege battles. So feudal knights, you cannot dismount these guys in a normal field battle. They can be dismounted in siege battles, and they can make up a very solid sword unit. Sword and shield unit, kind of like a feudal men-at-arms, but with better stats, but with only 40 men. That's always going to be the downside of using dismounted knights, is that they have 20 less men than a normal infantry unit, right? So a 40-man unit of dismounted chivalric knights, they can be dismounted in field battles, which is good. What are they? Well, they're polearms. What is that? Okay, well, that's halberds. They have halberds, basically. And halberd, or a polearm, is going to give a bonus of +3 attack versus cavalry and +1 defense versus cavalry. It's, I guess you could say it's sort of the flip-flop or the evolution of the advantages of the spear and the pike versus cav. So like, instead of, like, I think the spear gives like +2 defense versus cav and +1 attack or something like that. And the pikes are like +3 defense versus cav and +1 or 2 attack or something like that. And then the polearms flip-flop that around and give you more attack and less defense. They also, on top of that, have a bonus versus armor. So polearms are just tailor-made for chopping through heavily armored knights. They're fantastic. They're demonic units, especially in the hands of well, someone that's good at using them. And boy, oh boy, are the chivalric knights, the dismounted chivalric knights, they are very, very good at using those polearms. Even just 40 men, Oh man, that's a chunky unit. That is a good unit. I would like, I should, There's not a lot of polearm units in this game in general. Technically, the urban militia, although based on the picture, they are armed with polearms, and then the militia sergeants, which I don't think I never built up to them, did I? No, I did not. I didn't feel like I needed to because I already had Vikings. But yeah, these units, they appear to be holding polearms, but they don't get the polearm bonus. They just get the normal bonus versus armor bonus, the same thing that a Viking unit gets with his axe, or any other axe unit for that matter, which is kind of too bad, but it's a low tier unit, so I kind of understand the purpose there. So polearm units typically are not something that you're going to be getting until the mid to late game. The halberdier, which is available to all Catholic factions, is going to be an evolution of the town guard building. So this is going to allow me to build the militia sergeants. And then if I get the citadel, which is the fourth, so the fourth tier version of this building is going to allow me to build trained halberdiers. And they're solid, but man, compared to dismounted chivalric knights, I know which ones I'll take every single day of the week. The dismounted chivalric knights are so good. So that's a unit that I think I would be happy using in my pike and shot armies. Having them along with my guns and my pikes just gives me a good melee punch to kind of fend off cavalry and to flank and stuff. To be honest, the guns and the pikes are kind of wet noodles in this game. So just having some dismounted chivalric knights just to make sure you win your battles ain't bad. You know, it's not bad. And then having some regular mounted chivalric knights to give you some mounted play as well. It works pretty well. And I have my formations figured out so that I know how to use those late game armies in a way that makes historical sense. It's been a while since I've practiced, maybe a year or so, so I might be a little bit rusty. But that's something that I am looking forward to showcasing at some point later in this campaign. Now, since the Alma heads are still my allies, and since they are just rolling on through Europe, I have some considerations to make here. In some ways, I really just want to witness this titanic matchup between the Egyptians and the Almohads. I feel like that could be very fun, and I still think that's going to happen. Would the Almohads betray me? I don't know. The whole influence thing, the whole aspect of losing influence by betraying your ally is a real deterrent, it seems like. I don't know if that's like a... I'm trying to think, like... Have I ever been betrayed by an ally in this game? I have to have had, right? I'm sure I have, but I do feel like that deterrent really goes a long way. It seems like that does sort of protect you. I would like to hear your thoughts on this, but I feel like alliances, you know, really do protect you in a way in this game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, please let me know your thoughts on that. But I still feel like I should slow down the Alma heads. I'm not worried about them. They're behind me by quite a bit in the GA points, but still, slowing them down is not a bad idea. Now, the Egyptians, as I've already mentioned, again, this is where I'm kind of going against the sound strategy, but I kind of want to let them keep getting strong because I want to attack them, as I've just talked about. I do want to kind of attack into a strong faction in the late game. You know, it has to be someone. It may as well be the Egyptians. So what I should be doing then is looking for ways to undermine my good old allies, the Almohads, without going to war with them. And this is something that I do have some experience doing. I know that there's like not a ton of mechanics and interaction that you can do with your agents in this game, but there are some. There are some things you can play around with to some degrees of success. Now that's up for probably a lot more research to be done, is the amount of success of these mechanics. But in theory, there's one thing that I'm already kind of doing, which is using my bishops as scouts. But you know what they're also doing is that they are converting the local populace to Catholicism. So not much, right? It's only 17% here in Algeria, 43% here in Morocco. So you can see, you know, we got some decent chunks. Yeah, we're majority Catholic here in Valencia. And then in these provinces that are more recently taken, it's mostly Catholic. And now, as to what the degree of religion and how much that plays into the population loyalty, that still probably requires a lot more research. And again, this is something that I would love to hear your opinions on, but the interplay between factional religion and then the governor's piety and then also the provincial zeal, it's still at least to me, it's a bit of a mystery. It's my understanding that piety has no interplay with the factional religion. It just has to do with the zeal itself. Now, does that mean that low zeal and high piety will cause the provincial loyalty to lower? Or does piety only matter when the zeal is high? Okay, so let me say that again. Like, if the zeal's low, maybe it doesn't matter if the governor's piety is high or low. It just doesn't play into a factor as long as the provincial zeal is low. But if the zeal is high, and then the governor's piety is low, then there could be a loyalty hit. Or if the zeal is high and the governor's piety is high, there could be a loyalty boon, a boost, right? That's my guess. That's all I have in that regard. You know, is that guess essentially. That's all I know about piety and zeal. As far as the actual effects of the religions themselves, I know that you can get religious-based rebellions, but that already happens when the loyalty gets too low, you know, and it never really indicates to what degree it doesn't matter, you know. As we can see here in Aquitaine, taxes are very high. There's barely any troops here garrisoning Aquitaine. Catholicism at 72%, Islam is at 28%, and what buildings do they have here that help happiness? The border fort, along with the border watchtowers, is going to give plus 15%, I believe. And then that's it. The trading post, the farms, the artillery, nothing else here gives a happiness boost, to my understanding. And yet here they are sitting on very high taxes with 137% loyalty. So I don't know. Now, the Almohads could have their own spies in this province, helping keep their loyalty high. That's a possibility. But it is kind of an interesting aspect, isn't it? We can continue to look at this as well. Here in Anjou, we have a similar thing. Very high taxes, loyalty is at 164%, and Catholicism heavily outweighs the Islam in this province. And again, there are no happiness buildings other than the border fort itself. No, take that back. The town guard does give happiness as well. Okay. So that's kind of a mystery. It's something that I have played around with a bit in the past, is trying to use religious agents to kind of bomb other factions' provinces and try to cause issues. Now, the nice thing with that is that religious agents do not get stopped by the infrastructure, like the border watchtowers or the border forts do not stop priests and bishops. the only thing that stops these guys is assassins. So they're kind of okay. Just you can kind of throw them around and they'll cause issues. And I do believe that their effects do stack. So if you throw a bunch of them into a province, they should be converting that province a lot quicker. Now, spies, on the other hand, their effects do not stack. That's something that they changed from Shogun. In Shogun, you could stack a bunch of shinobi in an enemy province, and you could basically loyalty bomb that province and really cause some problems. And then in this game, the devs wisely, I think, nerfed that ability. Now, only the highest valor spy is going to have effect on the provincial loyalty, whether it's your own province or an enemy's province. And valor really does make a difference. You know, a high valor spy, for each point of valor, it's going to be like an extra 10% bomb or boost for loyalty, depending on if it's in your province or the enemy province. It's quite a bit, big jump, but spies get easily caught by border forts. And in this game, unlike Shogun, it takes 2 turns to build a border fort, and that's after you have to build the border watchtowers. So 4 turns in total, I think, to build that building. Here, it just takes 2 turns. 1 turn for the border watchtower, 1 turn for the border fort, and boom, you have a building that can just catch anything. Spies, assassins. It's really hard to get these agents through these territories without them getting caught by these buildings. And so, since they're so cheap, and since they take so little amount of time to build, they're everywhere. You can see them here in Flanders, Normandy, Brittany, Aquitaine. Toulouse is empty. That's a target. Anjou, yeah, they have something there. Burgundy has a border fort. You know, they're everywhere. You know, Tyrolia is empty, but it's inland. Can I get there? Okay, so there is no border fort here in Venice, so I could go through Venice into Tyrolia to try to get a spy to cause issues there. Bavaria just has a border watchtower, so that does not catch enemy agents. And then, yeah, Bohemia as well has nothing there. So there is opportunities to kind of sneak these guys into these provinces to try to cause issues with my spy. Now, in addition to bombing the provincial loyalty, there's other things spies can do that can cause issues for a faction. And that is they can spy on enemy generals. By doing this, there is a line of vices and virtues where that specific character, if he just kind of hangs out in that same province for a while, and if you continue spying on him, you will continue to uncover certain traits. Now, some of the traits themselves might be, for instance, a secret trait that once it's uncovered will make the effects real. A really good example of this is Secret Blackmailer. As long as that's not discovered, there's no problems. But once it's uncovered that a general is a blackmailer, he's going to be losing 3 shields of loyalty. Okay, that's a problem now. Now that faction has to deal with a disloyal general. But in addition to uncovering secret traits, another thing that does, that same mechanic will also play on the fact that they're going to go down a line of vices and virtues, which is going to end up, I don't remember the names of every single one and the exact effects of every single one, but it's going to end up in a place where that general, I believe the very worst trait will be it'll be like losing a lot more loyalty, basically, I think. And maybe even losing some dread. I can't quite remember. But that's a possibility as well, as having that character, maybe losing dread. I would have to look that up again. But as you can see, you know, that could potentially be a way that you can cause issues for factions, even allied factions, just to slow them down a bit without going to war with them, is by using spies and bishops to disrupt their, their internal machinations. Another idea is to use not spies, but assassins. Now, sure, the obvious way is to kind of go after the other factions like family to kind of kill them. But if you don't want that faction to die, then maybe just going after very good governors that are essentially keeping provinces happy. Say a governor with high dread, kill him, and that province is no longer benefiting from that dread, right? So that's another idea as well. If you're playing as a Catholic faction and you're trying to destabilize another Catholic faction, then you also have Inquisitors. That's something that you can play around with. But since there's no Catholic factions on the map right now that I'm concerned about, there's no reason for me to train Inquisitors at all. They can be used to lower the dread of Catholic generals and potentially even kill Catholic generals and governors. But yeah, in this case, you know, it's two Muslim factions, and then pretty much all of the Catholic factions are just suffering right now. So there's no point in me using Inquisitors for this role. But I think that is something that I want to be doing, is training spies. How good can I get them? So I can get spies with +1 valor here in Livonia. And yeah, I think that's what I want to do. I can also get. So this is the Cardinal, and this is an agent that I can only recruit in this province because this is the province where I built the cathedral, and this is a building that you can only build one of these per faction, essentially. And this is going to give +3 morale. That's why I built it here, so that my +1 valor Vikings are also going to be getting that morale boost. But what this also allows you to do is train up your highest tier, basically like it's a better bishop. So I can train a cardinal, and he's just going to give a bigger conversion boost, essentially, more than a bishop. So how would I get a few of these guys out? They only cost 50 florins more than bishops. And maybe if I use them to, like, just Catholic bomb some of these Almohad regions, maybe I can cause some issues with them. And then I can also go Livonia and get some spies going maybe. It'd be nice to get better spies, but I'm not really working on spies other than where else? I thought I was going to work on them maybe somewhere in the British Isles at some point. Yeah, I don't think I'm there yet. Yeah, I'm not quite ready. So Livonia it is then. Let's just start getting spies going here so that I can start flooding some of these regions in the Almohad territories that aren't protected by border forts. And just like that, the French are done and gone. Yeah, that was their last turn. And we are catching Polish assassins here in Saxony. And the reliquary is finished here in Novgorod. Now that is going to be the building that is going to be giving me +2 morale. And then the dockyard is finished here in Norway, so that I can finally start building caravels there if I would need to. And then the drinking den is going to allow me to train assassins with +2 valor here in Livonia. Now that I have finished construction of this Admiralty building here in Denmark, I am able to assign another title to one of my generals, and this title is going to be the Admiral of the North. It's going to give loyalty and command, 2 command stars and 1 loyalty to be exact. And I've had a look over the generals that are commanding my armies and my front lines. These are all my best generals, the ones that I've picked out as my best generals. In reserves, I have a handful of 3-star generals, so that's not bad that I have a few of those by now. But when I was looking at my front line generals, well, it only comes down to a few options. This guy over here is family. He's a brother. Prince Sven cannot be given the titles because family can't be given titles for some reason. It's a weird thing in this game. This is an option for Star General Sir Knut Eriksson. He's one of the uncles, so he's no longer in the line of succession. So he is an option as well. And then here, Lord Hildetand of 4-star General. He's an option, but he is a good runner. -3 morale. You know, that's not great, is it? That's not great. And then here, 5-star General. He's already Master of the Stables, so he cannot be given another title like that. And then here's my best general. Lord Jarl is the Chancellor of Denmark, as well as being the Grand Duke of Novgorod, so he cannot be given any more titles. And then up here we have a 4-star general, the Lagman of Finland. 4 stars, great warrior. So yes, he's going to be a wonderful fighter and able to survive taking a beating in combat. But other than that, he's not going to be given any other boosts to morale. But then going back to this guy, Lord, man, I'm just not reading right now. Sir Knut Eriksson, brave beyond belief, +3 valor and +3 morale. Yeah, let's give the uncle some love here. Let's make him the Admiral of the North. Yeah, Admiral of the North. Cool name. Make him a 6-star general. And this is a good spot for him too, because he's holding down the front. That's basically, you know, we got some Hammerheads on our borders now. And they're looking pretty strong now. They don't seem like they're too focused on me. They do not. But it's nice having one of my best generals holding down essentially the key to Denmark, which is Saxony. So that seems like an important place to have a good general. In addition to that, I have started trying my little agent strategy against the Almohads. I'm bringing my cardinals down to Navarre because Navarre did not have a border fort. And then same with Castile, and then same with Portugal. But I'm going to try to focus my cardinals here on Navarre, just because, as I said before, their effects are cumulative and the spies are not. So I'm going to put like maybe 6, I don't know, 6 cardinals in Navarre, maybe more. I don't know. I'm going to be experimenting with that. Also, this Almohad general just happens to be one of the heirs, Prince Abdullah. Now, as I mentioned before, spying on him could lead to a chain of vices that could cause a dip in loyalty. Now, he has a ton of loyalty, so I don't know what kind of damage I can do here, but I may as well kind of show you all how this works. So, a spy mission. Your spy will attempt to discover and publicly reveal any secret vices this general indulges in. Usually the more powerful general is the more he has to hide. Oh, is that right? Is that right? Do you want to proceed? Yes. Why not? There's literally no reason not to. So, yeah, we'll see about that. And if he hangs out in Navarre, then I can just continue doing this. Or if he moves to other provinces where I have spies, I can just keep doing it. There's not a lot of border forts here in Iberia, which is nice. There's a ton of border forts up here. But then in Iberia, it's like Cordoba. This is the capital of the Almohads. No border forts. Okay. Don't mind if I do. I'll put a spy there as soon as I can. And what about this? Yeah, here's another heir. 4-star generals, tons of loyalty. And okay, well, let's just spy on him as well. What do we have here in Portugal? 1-star general, no vices or virtues, tons of loyalty. Man, the Almohads are just stacked on the loyalty department. And then same with you, same thing. But yeah, let's just... Well, he's going to arrive, and then I'll make him spy on generals, and that is going to be fine. And just like this, a scandal has been revealed by one of my spies here in Castile. This is the one that was spying on Prince Idris, and he has revealed the vice of avarice. Now, avarice is one of those, but just based on memory, my understanding is that when it's a secret avarice, he's just getting +2 acumen, so it's a good thing, right? The bad thing is the part that's hidden. But then when it becomes a known thing, then the province that he's governing is going to get -40 happiness, which is quite a big hit, you would think. Now, in this case, unfortunately, since he is a heir, he is not a governor of any place. He cannot be. If he is the next in line, then once he becomes the ruler, once he becomes the, is it the Khalifa? It's the Khalifa for the Almohads, I believe. And yeah, once he becomes the Khalifa, he would, you know, give part of this loyalty hit to the entire empire. But I don't know if he is the next in line. I can kind of look at that later. And yeah, this spy failed to find any hidden vices. But that doesn't mean that he didn't cause any paranoia vices amongst that that general there, that heir. So it looks like the Hungarians are making kind of a desperate bid here. They've been sitting in Corsica this entire time, and one of their newer kings was... Oh, this is the only province they have left. Oh, wow. The Hungarians have been completely kicked out. And luckily for them, they had a king crowned in Corsica. I guess. That's one of the only provinces they had left, I guess. And they just happen to have still a few boats around. So they were able to invade the rebel-held Genoa. And so the Hungarians have life left. Now, this isn't a good spot for them. They're just sandwiched right in between the Almohads, which is, it's not, it's like, out of the frying pan into the fire type of situation. Looks like the Egyptians have the highest level of development, big whoop. And the Byzantines are just stuck on their islands of the Mediterranean the entire campaign. And yeah, the Pope wants me to crusade against my Almohads. Well, 1, I can't crusade, and 2, they're my bros. So, no siree. Let's see, catching Polish assassins, classic. And Prince Eric is now matured. Now, I believe this is my son. I believe this is my actual son. It looks like he is a 2-star general, just based on what I'm seeing there. Shipwright finished here in Wales. Now I can start building the next tier of boat building buildings here in Scotland and Wales. Farmland finished here in Saxony and Mercia. Good stuff. King Christopher I, great builder, +1 loyalty to all generals, and +10 happiness. Awesome. And steward. Yeah, getting the steward trait is weird when you're not a governor. This man's not a governor, so like, why is he getting the steward trait? It's kind of interesting. Prince Eric, he only has 1 trait, and it's secret pride. So this is another example of one of those traits that will get worse once it's discovered. Once his pride is discovered, it will get worse. Right now, he's getting +3 valor and -1 command. But yeah, that can get worse once it's discovered. I don't know how exactly off the top of my head, but yeah. And let's see, Lord Surtson is a deep thinker, -3 piety and +3 acumen. Hey, I'll take that acumen. I'll take that acumen all day because he is a governor and he's going to be giving a boost to the province he governs. All right, so let's see here. We have Prince Eric, 16 years old, plenty of loyalty, 4 acumen, which is fine. And yeah, command, dread, piety is meh. Secret pride, and he is going to be the next in line. Yes, he is. So let's get him married. I have an emissary. Yes, here you are. And gosh, are there any Catholic factions left? There are, right? So let's take the filters off and let's go see. There's a Hungarian princess. That's an option. There's an Italian princess. That's an option. Who else is left? The Poles are also around. Actually, I think I have Polish princesses in my territory, don't I? Yes, I do. So let's ask them first. They've been hanging around for a while, almost as if they were waiting for something or someone. So yeah, let's just make sure that you're Polish. I have to always double check, make sure the colors are so similar. The patterns. I know that like the Danes have the red on top and the white on the bottom, but yeah, it's very, very similar. All right, let's go over here. And we can ask for her hand in marriage. And if she says no, then we can ask the Hungarians and the Italians. So there are still some options, are the Sicilians, and they also have some princesses as well here in Malta. Now, Prince Abdullah, this is the man that I had sent my spy to investigate here in Navarre, and this is the one that my spy was not able to uncover any information on him. But he's already gotten this vice here, or virtue you could say, I suppose, the informants. So he has built up a local group of informants, giving him some warning of plots against him, +2 valor versus spies. Now this is interesting. I have not noticed this to ever stop the spy from causing this chain to keep developing. This is, I think, the first step along the way of becoming very, very bad. And you see that +2 valor and you think, okay, +2 valor versus spies, my spy is not going to be able to do anything against this guy. I don't think that's what that's for. I think that +2 valor might be against, I don't know, maybe finding out the secret vices, maybe? Because it doesn't stop the spy from continuing to cause this tree to continue down. Let's look at the other guy. So this is the guy that I was able to discover, avarice. And he does not have the informant trait. That's interesting. So let's keep going. Let's keep looking at this. Let's keep looking at this and let's follow this and see how this develops. And then you as well, you don't have anything, but you know, you're here. So let's spy on you as well. Now Prince Abdullah has obtained the second tier, you could say, of this vice, informant network. So now his network of informants stretches far and wide, often giving advanced warning of plots against him, +4 valor versus spies, -1 loyalty. Now, still, as you can see, he's fine. But, yeah, it's interesting. Like that +2 valor and now this +4 valor, it doesn't seem, it's not stopping this. So what is that valor doing? You know? Is it just, it must just be against, like, uncovering the secret stuff, the secret things that I was, yeah, that's, I already said it, so you already know. Let's just keep going with that, and so, okay, so now for Prince Idris, the one that we did discover the avarice on, after doing this a second time, he now has the informants. So now +2 valor versus spies. Yeah, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going with it, and then you have informants as well. What about down here in Cordoba? We have a 4-star general. He is the governor of Algeria. Okay, and Jesus, this guy, he must be an historical general. Tons of acumen, good command, tons of piety, loyalty, magnificent builder. So +10 happiness, +2 loyalty. Unhinged loon, so that's going to be, you know, giving a morale, or yeah, like a provincial loyalty debuff to Algeria. And piety and acumen and steward. Yeah, steward's a good one as well. So how's Algeria? Algeria is sitting at 153% loyalty. And this is the governor. So let's start working on him. And let's just see what we can do. Then up here in Navarre, have we caused any issues here? I'm trying to think. Cardinals do not boost zeal, do they? That's just inquisitors. I believe so, right? But it seems like, yeah, Navarre's fine. But I only have, what, 5 cardinals in there? It's a small province, but I can pack more in there. Trust me. Watch me. Okay. This is interesting, because I feel like I haven't even done much here in Portugal. But Portugal is one of those naturally rebellious provinces, so it doesn't take much to cause issues here. And what kind of rebellion is this? This looks like it's just like a peasant. Yeah, peasant rebellion. So this isn't too devastating at all. Something that I do understand is that I think that rebellions do cause provincial loyalty hits in neighboring provinces, and so that sort of thing can spread. Is that true? I feel like it's something that I've like seen here or there from somewhat dubious sources, like the official strategy guide, which does get a lot of things wrong. It's still a pretty well written guide, but it when it says things like that, which I think it does say in that guide, that provincial loyalty does take hits in neighboring provinces when there's rebellions. But I feel like I've seen that in enough other sources that may indicate that that's a real thing. So I would like to hear your thoughts on that. If neighboring provinces do take a hit when there's a rebellion somewhere. So let me know. Alright, we're catching Almahad assassins. Okay, so yeah, we can they're like two can play that game. Alright, King Christopher I, great steward. So yes, plus 20% to all agricultural production. That is awesome. And Prince Sven, this is the brother, plus 1 piety, and secret avarice. So plus 2 acumen, minus 10 happiness. Okay, so when it becomes known, it becomes minus 40 happiness. Okay, that's a big hit. Yeah, that is a big hit. But he is just the brother, and he is no longer the next in line, so it doesn't matter. Secret fanatic, plus 30% zeal when governing. And yeah, piety. Piety just really doesn't seem like it's an important thing at all. But I still don't know like what its relation is with the Pope and being excommunicated. That seems like that has to be a thing. You know, it feels like it has to be a thing that high piety generals would lose loyalty if their faction gets excommunicated, right? That just makes so much sense. I know that not all of the things that make sense were put into this game, but that's like a big one that makes, you know, like that would make piety, like that would be the point of that, right? But typically, anytime, for most campaigns that I play, the French do very well. The French fight many factions. The French are excommunicated virtually the entire campaign, and the French typically seem to get high piety generals. Sort of like how the English get high dread generals, and sort of how the Byzantines get high influence people and good command generals. It seems like the French have a lot of piety, and I don't know if that's just, you know, me noticing something that's not really there, but it seems like that's a real thing, is the French and their high piety generals. And man, they just don't seem to care. You know, since they're just winning so many battles, and since their king's influence is typically so high, it doesn't matter if they're excommunicated. They just keep on trucking along. They follow their guide to the end. So I would like to hear your thoughts on that as well. You know, does the piety and the whole excommunication thing have anything to do with one another? Let me know. I mean, if we're looking at this rebellion here in Portugal, 60% loyalty on very low taxes. The rebellion itself is just 2 archers and a naphtha thrower, so that's going to get crushed by this Gulam bodyguards and the militia sergeants, so it's not going to succeed. But then if we look at Cordoba, they're down to a 122% loyalty with normal taxes. So it, you know, but it's also my spy, right? Like my spy must be doing something as well. But yeah, that kind of feels like there's some carryover from Portugal. It's kind of what that feels like, maybe. I will continue to keep an eye on this. And are there any developments with... Okay, so they moved Prince Abdullah out of this province, so I can no longer... Is this him? No, that's someone else. Okay. Prince Abdullah, nope, that's Prince... So Prince Idris is still here. So I can keep working on him. And then, are you anyone... Oh no, you're right here. Okay, I thought I lost you. Why did you... What happened to your... informants vice? Is that a different Prince Abdullah? Huh, that's a little confusing. Looks like the same guy. I'm very... okay, I'm a little confused. I'm a little lost on that one. Huh. Now, I don't want to look around at every single Almohad general looking for another Prince Abdullah, but, would I spend the time on that? Oh, dear. I'm so perplexed. Generals can't just lose vices. I'm pretty sure that's not a thing. Okay, well, this is getting more and more interesting because Prince Abdullah, whose vices regarding informants had seemed to have previously disappeared, now has come back with a vengeance. Spy network, scandal. So yes, despite the obvious disapproval this causes, he still maintains a comprehensive spy network, which occasionally gets out of hand. So he still has that +4 valor versus spies, whatever that does, but now there's -3 loyalty, and that seems to be his loyalty. It's weird. You would think that this means there's going to be provincial loyalty issues, right? Like that's what the outrage is. But I don't know if we're actually getting provincial loyalty hits. I think what we're just getting is -3 loyalty to him. I think. But still, that's big. Fortress finished. This is, I think, my first fortress built in this campaign here in Sweden. This is going to be the final tier of the fortification building. They are massive. Look at them. It takes up like all of Sweden. It's huge. Look at how big that is. Cool picture as well. And then the stew is finished here in Norway. I think that's the +2 valor despise, I think. And then tavern in Northumbria. I was just thinking, hey, it's Northumbria. You know, I dated a Geordie once, and I kind of know how much they drink up here in this region. This is where the Geordies live, right? Oh God, oh here we go. But yes, they wanted a tavern. That's just what I figured. Okay. Let's see. We got a humanist. -4 piety, but +4 acumen. That's a funny one. This man's ability to think clearly makes him worldly wise, but his knowledge also leads him to set up reason in the place of faith. Well, how dare you, sir? How freaking dare you? This might be the final vice in this line, the assassinator vice. I'm not quite sure, but it might be. I would have to check up on this. But yes, scandal. His network of assassins has been penetrated and exposed. The families of his victims clamor for vengeance. He is not a popular man. +2 valor versus spies, so that's gone down from +4 valor to +2 valor. Again, I don't know what this does. -5 loyalty, that's a big hit. -40 happiness. Now, again, I don't think that -40 happiness matters because this man is not a governor, but if he does become the Khalifa, then yes, that could matter. Ooh, the Almohads are going into Rome. Holy moly. Yeah, they are taking it to the Italians, and then the Italians are going into... Oh no, sorry, the Almohads went into Tuscany against the Italians, and the Italians basically fled from the Almohads into Rome. Yes, okay, alright. Well, and yes, there was a new pope, so the new pope had to excommunicate the Italians again. And the Pope is still asking for support against the Almohads? No, sirree. I mean, I'm doing what I can. Prince Harold, so this is going to be my second son, and he has now come of age. Gunsmith's workshop is finished here in Prussia, so now I can finally start training handguns. And then the Master Smear Maker is finished here in Novgorod. That's going to be giving +1 valor to my chivalric sergeants. And Prince Harold, so secret adultery, so that's just going to be... It does nothing for now, but when it is discovered, he is going to be losing piety. And then natural leader, that's a very good one. +2 morale, +1 loyalty. He's only a 1-star general, unfortunately. Yeah, that's too bad. Ooh, loyalty is a little bit low. Okay. Okay, so Prince Harold. Ooh, I just realized King... Is this been this way the whole time? Has King Christopher's influence been at 1 this entire time? There's no way. That's very, very bad. I just checked my general's loyalty like a few turns ago and they were all looking okay. How did it get so... I've never seen it get that bad when you're just sitting around building up your provinces, unlike an empire this decently sized. There's no way. It was not this low before. He's been king for a while now. I just checked that because I wanted to see if that had anything to do with my latest heir being kind of shitty with the stats. And yeah, that would, if there's any correlation, that would kind of prove it, wouldn't it? Ugh. Alright, got some chivalric knights out. These guys are looking pretty badass. I can send them down to Saxony, which is going to be my frontier against the Almohads in case they want to attack. Come at me, bro. But again, I think they're not, I don't think they're going to. Jesus, a one influence king. I kind of want to go back now and watch my previous episode just to see if I can see anything. And please let me know as well if you've noticed as well, if he was influence of one before. Maybe you were paying better attention than I was, but I have to end it for this episode, but that's a mystery. Man, that's quite the mystery to end this episode on. Ay, one influence. That usually you see civil wars with one influence, but like my guys are looking okay. But if that one influence is brand new, like if that just hit, then maybe their loyalty has not lowered yet. Like maybe it needs to be bad for a couple of turns before, before they feel that wrath of that low influence. And he has good traits. +1 loyalty to all generals with great builder. Yeah, kind of. Oh, okay, that's bad. I didn't know about that one. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention, but -40 happiness because of avarice is bad. But the provinces are looking okay. Yeah. And if we go in here, just look at the numbers exactly. Everyone's pretty okay. Oh, I forgot to raise Wales ever since they had a flood here and I had to lower it a bit. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have a reemergence of the English or the French, for instance. Okay, well, that's a little worrying. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that when I go into the next episode. But you know what? That is all going to have to wait until next time. As always, I hope you have enjoyed this one, and thank you very much for watching. This has been Concept playing Medieval Total War. Thank you very much, and goodbye.